All right, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're diving into a historical puzzle that has, believe it or not, stumped scholars for centuries. We're going to try and figure out exactly when one of the most important figures in history, the Patriarch Abraham, actually walked the earth.
It seems like a pretty simple question, right? But as you're about to see, the answer is, well, it's anything but simple. This is a genuine historical mystery, and all the clues we have are buried deep inside these ancient texts. So let's get into it. And this number really gets right to the heart of the problem. 600 years. That's the window, the massive gap between the different dates that scholars have proposed for Abraham's life. How on earth can the estimates be that far apart? Well, to get to the bottom of that, we have to follow the evidence, step by step.
Okay, so where do we even begin? The most logical place to start is by trying to build a timeline using the Bible's own internal clock. I mean, on the surface, it looks like a pretty straightforward math problem. A simple calculation? Let's find out.
First things first, every good timeline needs an anchor, a fixed point in time that historians feel pretty confident about. For us, that's the year 966 BC. This is when King Solomon started building his legendary temple. This is our ground zero.
And here we go, our first big clue. This verse from the Book of Kings is basically a time machine. It gives us a direct link between our anchor date, the temple construction, and a much earlier event, the Exodus from Egypt.
So let's do the math. It's pretty simple. You take our solid date, 966 BC, and you just add those 480 years. And boom, that drops us right into the year 1446 BC for the Exodus. Just like that, we've leaped back almost 500 years into the past. But we're not done yet. The next clue takes us even deeper. The book of Exodus tells us that before the Exodus, the Israelites were in Egypt for a whopping 430 years. So let's add that huge chunk of time to our running tally.
And now, you can really see the pieces starting to snap into place. We add the 430 years in Egypt, then we layer on the ages of the patriarchs at these key moments in their family history. With each number, we're just jumping further and further back in time.
So, after all the adding is done, where do we land? We get a very specific date, 2091 BC. According to this straightforward calculation, this is the year Abraham first entered the land of Canaan, kicking off this whole epic story.
I mean, it all seems so neat, doesn't it? The numbers add up, it feels like we've cracked the case. Solved. But, as any good detective knows, sometimes the simplest answer is just the beginning of a much deeper story.
And this is where our seemingly perfect timeline starts to show some really big cracks. It turns out there are a couple of hidden variables, some major problems in the data we've been using that throw the entire calculation into doubt.
So what are these problems? Well, it really boils down to two huge variables. First, some scholars debate whether that 480-year number is meant to be literal or more of a symbolic number. But the biggest problem, the one we're really going to dig into, is a massive disagreement about that 430-year period in Egypt.
So let's zoom in on that critical issue. You're not going to believe it, but this whole historical puzzle hinges on just a few words in a single verse and how they differ between two very ancient versions of the text. It's a tale of two texts. Okay, check this out. It's a subtle but crucial difference. The standard Hebrew text, the Masoretic, says the 430 years were spent in Egypt. Simple enough. But the Septuagint, which is a very early Greek translation, adds a few critical words, in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan. You see that? That little addition changes everything. And the implication here is absolutely huge. If that 430-year clock started ticking before they even got to Egypt, while the patriarchs were still in Canaan, then the time they actually spent in Egypt gets cut exactly in half. It goes from 430 years all the way down to just 215. This one tiny difference pushes Abraham's entire timeline forward by more than 2 centuries. So who's right? Honestly, there are really strong arguments on both sides. The 430-year stay in Egypt seems to fit with a prophecy in Genesis about a 400-year affliction, and it gives more time for the population to grow. But the 215-year stay is backed by the Apostle Paul's own calculation in the New Testament and is based on that really old Greek translation. There is no easy answer here.
So after all of that, where does that leave us? We've got one calculation that seems super clean, but it's based on a text that has a major variant with no easy resolution. So what's the final verdict?
In the end, it really just comes down to this. As the biblical scholar Samuel Schultz put it, the timeline for the patriarchs still remains a moot point.
The simple truth is, the evidence is ambiguous. The mystery continues.
But you know, the goal here wasn't just to find a date. It was to understand the process. And we've learned some really valuable things. We've seen that numbers in ancient texts might not always be literal, that different ancient versions of the same text actually exist, and that real history is about interpreting all these variables. It's not just about plugging numbers into a calculator.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Knowing that something as fundamental as a timeline can be this complex, built on tiny textual differences and centuries of interpretation, how does that change the way we approach and read all ancient historical texts? It shows us that behind every simple fact, there's often a fascinating detective story just waiting to be uncovered.